Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mantleverse Unleashed. I'm your host, Potatojuice.
And I'm Slimonshark. We have got an exciting episode lined up for you today.
Yeah, that's right. So we're diving deep into the world of DeFi and exploring what's most talked about. One of the most talked about platforms, one of the exciting money markets on Mantle at the moment. That is Dolomite.
Dolomite. We are super excited to be joined by two special guests today. Please welcome Corey and Adam from Dolomite team.
Yeah, let's go.
E pra começar o final de semana, viagem vou ter que tá chique bacana. Forte, forte, se não tá de lagoste, não sei se vou usar o lacinho ou campana. E crocodilo estampado no peito.
So yeah, how are you doing, Corey and Adam? Welcome to the stream, by the way.
Doing well, doing well.
Ex-
Excited to be here.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, verbal clash is common thing. Like when we do recordings with several people, that's what usually happens. So yeah, it's fine to be honest. Yeah, Corey, please go ahead.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here and to talk more about Dolomite and a couple of things we got cooking. Happy to be standing here with my co-founder Adam. Adam, why don't you
Hey
say
there.
how you're doing too?
Doing well, doing well. Yeah, also happy to be here. Happy to talk some Dolomite.
Yeah, so we're also excited. This is our first podcast that is like specifically project focused. The other ones were basically me and Slim talking about various mantle stuff. So yeah, Slim is also here. Yo, what's up, Slim?
Hi, Juice. I'm doing very well, and I do appreciate that Adam and Corey made it. We were planning this like maybe since 1 month, and we wanted to have this broadcast plus podcast in line with the announcement. So we are going to have an alpha section today about the Dolomite, and I think lots of audiences are curious about this alpha section.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. I mean, people run on alpha. I mean, you get people's attention by saying alpha. That's what I usually
Yeah,
do. Do you want alpha? But yeah,
actually,
Slim.
this
Who doesn't want
was
that? It's such an easy question. Everyone should answer yes to it. Come on.
Yeah, true. Well, yeah, Slim. Why don't you get started with if you have questions like I know, by the way, those of you watching, it's like I'm not gonna say like it's all natural. Obviously, we do scripts, so Slim. I would like to get started because Slim is the one who has been helping me with the scripts part. I'm mostly recording, so yeah, Slim. Why don't you get started?
okay. Now, I am really curious about the Dolomites story. As far as I checked from your history, it's like 2019. It was the initial date, but 2022 was the white paper. So in between, you might have some startup struggles, and maybe you know each other from your previous years. I don't know, and I think it would be good to know you too.
Yeah, happy to dive into we could go with our backgrounds and how that led us into Dolomite. So at least for me personally, I got into crypto in 2013 originally. Bitcoin hit $1,000 for the first time, and a programming forum that I was active on had a few people who were starting to take an interest in Bitcoin, which really was the whole crypto space at the time. And someone was building out something that it could barely even be called an altcoin. It was sort of just some experimental tech, and I was able to help out proving the miner for their system, and that was sort of how I got interested in everything crypto related. I mined some of their asset and was able to even sell some of it back then through a forum, which kind of blew my mind, the whole system of it. So from there, I'd love to say that I then bought a bunch of Bitcoin at $200, but not the case. Kind of in and out of crypto for a little while until 2017, when Corey and I got much more into trading as the market heated back up. We had met freshman year of college, same dorm, same floor, same major, both of us majoring in a dual degree in computer science and business, and had spent plenty of years working with each other leading up to 2017, just doing hackathons and side projects, and overall found we worked very well together. Um, Before I go further, let me toss it over to Corey so he could talk about his background in crypto.
Yeah, so I first got started in crypto in about 2015 or so. At the time, I was building some game modding software, and the payment processor that I was working with at the time shut me down because they didn't like what kind of stuff I was building and selling online. So I started taking Bitcoin for payment, and that like really got me into the industry. Feels like there's a lot of overlap between like people that were really into gaming back in the day and them finding their way into crypto through some shape and form. But that otherwise got me more involved with the industry, starting to see what was going on with the rise of Ethereum. And as I had mentioned, we started working closely with each other by like late 2017, early 2018 on some really cool things in the DeFi space. Well, at the time, it was not even called DeFi yet. DeFi wasn't a term, it was called open finance. So we started working on some early DEXs, mainly contributing to open source protocols like Loopring, and eventually found ourselves accidentally working on an early product that would become the first version of Dolomite from 2019, 2018, as you
Accidentally.
mentioned. Yeah, it was a really cool time. But yeah, Adam, if you want to take it from there and just continue on with our history.
Yeah,
By the way, you told about this, you know, the open finance. You know, at those days, it was a new term, but in 2022, when you had your white paper out, it was like already DeFi took off. So it's a very strong decision that you got into this market, right? Because it's already there, a lot of competition, and maybe you were very experienced Dagons, but you know it must be might have good reasons and very valid grounds on your starting journey.
the reason we really got into it was just that 2017 we were trading so frequently and using all these centralized exchanges, but we just hated the experience and the centralized exchange space at the time. It was fraught with hacks and fraud. A lot of exchanges that were just not built to handle the volume that they started to experience by the end of 2017, and the experience of using them was just very poor as well, and it's what led us to look for alternatives. And at the time, the only real DEX in 2017 was Ether Delta, which was also horrible to use, but the tech was cool, and that's really at our core what led us to building back then, and what really drives us now is we just like to build stuff. We like building cool tech and cool projects, and um, of seeing the cool opportunities and potential of decentralized exchanges. That's what led us to just go say like, hey, let's just see if we could build our own. That's what we did at the start of 2018. And back then, the version of Dolomite that we built out, we were funded in around April of 2018. We started building out a version of Dolomite that was more of a hybrid DEX, off-chain order matching, on-chain settlement. Um, which that's we actually found some decent product market fit, some decent growth with that, but the space started to move in a different direction, which is why we spun that down. It was a lot more headed a lot more towards AMMs and Uniswap style models. So we spun that down and spent about a year and a half building up a brand new version of Dolomite, which is the one that you we have the white paper for, and that's the one that launched in October of 2022. That's
Yeah.
built as a sort of next generation money market, and we built it using our experience that we had built up in the space, really just building out, just like with the first version of Dolomite, where we were building out a better exchange, the one that we would want to use. Likewise, with the newer version of Dolomite, it was the money market we wanted to use. We were traders on DYDX and users of
Yeah.
Aave, and we really just wanted to build something that could go further, that could really support the modern DeFi ecosystem.
Great, really. It's really a success story that based on user experience. So it just triggered you. It's really great to hear this. And I guess some of the new Dagons, young people, they will also get inspired by your success. I find this very important actually. And when we check, uh, we realize that the broad token support is put in the center of your uh, Dolomite, and it's very important for your structure. Am I right?
I would say it's a very key feature of Dolomite. It's one where A lot of the older money markets, your Compound, your Aave, they were built for a very different time in DeFi when there were maybe a dozen assets that people would care to borrow and lend. It didn't really need that kind of support for long tail assets, but modern DeFi, single protocol can have dozens of assets. Just look at Pendle, they probably have 50 plus assets that are currently active. And
Yeah.
so the need to be able to support many assets it is core to a modern DeFi money market. You really need to be able to support countless assets from a single protocol, from across protocols. And
Yeah.
people, these are not just some random, tiny coins. These are things that people want to use. These are yield bearing assets that people want to borrow against that are tied to broader ecosystems. Yeah, Corey, I don't know if you want to touch on anything with our virtual liquidity model and any of the how this support happens.
Yeah, I mean, the broad token support takes a couple forms. Adam already mentioned the idea of like one ecosystem, like Pendle having tons of tokens in them. And the original idea, because when we first built this, like Pendle wasn't on anyone's radar. It was just the idea of like look at Uniswap with Uniswap V2. Like there's tons of LP tokens, ETH
Yeah.
USDC, BTC USDC, ETH against BTC. Like all of these things start to add up, and before you know it, one protocol has a lot of different tokens that they're now working with. So the challenge for us is like, okay, like all of these things are valid equity in the crypto world, where like people know that they're worth something, and they want to potentially borrow against it while earning that yield and not necessarily like just coming in and out of positions. So being able to tap into listing a large number of assets, just like a sheer large number, was part of the challenge we wanted to tackle with it. But the other aspect of it too is like some assets come with really interesting quirks or technical complexities. And we wanted to make sure that Dolomite had the flexibility to work with those as well. So when you look at like the GMX ecosystem now with the
Yeah.
GMX asset, GLP, the GM tokens, they have some really interesting token economies there and interesting risk management that's responsible for making sure the ecosystem is always safe and the tokens are able to weather the volatility and other interesting things with just how their protocol operates. And if you might notice, like there's not really any lending protocols out there that are listing and working with these assets. Or if they do, they have to simplify the functionality considerably and then offer like a watered down version of it. And like we've seen that with GLP. So with Dolomite, we wanted to really offer an experience that could integrate with all these different kinds of assets. And we've been able to exemplify that over the past 2 years. I mean, most notably, even with assets like GLP, we're able to tap into our virtual liquidity system, which allows us to like repurpose assets and allow you to tap into native DeFi functionality while you're actively borrowing against them at the same time. And so this is the first time ever that you can do this thing called that we consider like being able to like DeFi with your assets while you're DeFiing on Dolomite. So in other words, if you have assets with DeFi native functionality, you can continue doing them. And so a good example of something that we're working on with the Mantle team is something involving the MNT token. As you guys know, you can stake that in the Mantle reward station, earn cool rewards. And
Yeah.
there's no real lending protocols out there that let you tap into the reward station while also borrow against it at the exact same time. But with Dolomite, we actually have the integration built out, and we're waiting for the Mantle team to work on some like updates to their infrastructure that allows those rewards to be forwarded along then to the user that's tapping
Yeah.
into it through Dolomite. So there's some really interesting things that we can do that that makes it like really exciting for Dolomite to like be an emergent player in the lending space and tackle some challenges that others aren't doing right now. But we think that there's challenges well worth tackling.
Oh yeah. By the way, it's pretty interesting to hear like your perspectives and like especially like compared to you, like all three of you. I'm a noob in the space. My first Genesis block was on 2024, and so yeah. So the thing is, until recently, crypto was like banned in India. It got legalized this year, and I've been for like looking into the space, but like I was only able to like take part in it like legally recently. So yeah, again, when you said like you guys were like two friends in university and now you built something that is amazing, I wish I had friends like that, because like most of my friends are like, crypto is scam. I mean, they don't understand the tech. It's true. It's the thing. The only friends, the Web3 friends I have are like online on Discord from community sites. The rest, my real life friends are like, it's a scam. It's the thing is the media is portraying this. So I wish I had a friendship like you guys. Like, that'll be like really amazing. So yeah, again, coming back to the topic, like, I just want to like, before we dive deeper into the your like what you're doing on like ground level, I would love to know how you came up with the name Dolomite.
Yeah, that's
That's
good. Good.
it's not. I'd say it's sort of an interesting story. It's one where at the time we were really looking to do a few things with the name, both to stand out and to things that were just practical. So back then, when we were picking a name, this is early 2018. The entire open finance, not even DeFi space, and general exchange space was very homogenous in the naming scheme. It was always just a different combination of bit, X, Dex. Like it just combine the words in any random order, and you'll find another exchange that has that name. And it made it so that exchanges really didn't stand out. The ones we liked in terms of names were things like Kraken. It's just a word, but it could be this unique thing that people could think of, and more broadly, things like Amazon or Apple, or just it's great to be able to a word like that. So that was one aspect we were looking for. And another were things like being able to have the website for it, the socials, good SEO. Again, very practical reasons. It was really a very purposeful choice. So we sat down with the dictionary and went word by word, picking a few possible contenders, and Dolomite is just one that stood out to us. We really liked it. Just the feel of it felt good. The sort of rock solid association of it. I think the sort of D of it fits well with DeFi or Dex. It's just it felt good, and it was something where if you go and Google Dolomite plus anything crypto related, will show up at the top of Google. Not many people are searching for Dolomite,
Yeah,
outside of
smart.
crypto. Same thing for Twitter, for Reddit. It was very purposeful choice, and it's one that's only grown more and more on us as time has passed, and we've continued to be very happy with it.
Oh yeah, I feel like it's a really good strategy, especially like like how I stumbled upon Dolomite was like on the mantle. There was the AMA. I was like, "Yo, this sounds really cool. What is Dolomite? I want to know, right?" And that's how I was like, I stumbled upon Dolomite. I started using Dolomite. The same thing with Merchant Mo, very unique name. Like you said, like it's something that you feel like I want to know what that is, or like something that stands out. You don't have that thing, and that's really amazing. And by the way, I'm a huge community guy, by the way. So I work within community sort of things in Mantle. So I would love to know, like, you are very community driven, you have a very community driven roadmap. I want to know how like loyal community members are rewarded, and like, how do you maximize the benefits? Because I've seen like you have like like I've not seen this on any other like DeFi protocol. You have amazing integration with Galaxy. It's like seamless. The moment you do it on Galaxy, it's reflected on Dolomite. I don't know how you do it, but it is amazing. I would love to know more about minerals and like the community side of things. Can you like touch on that?
Yeah, happily. Thanks for the shout out for the work we've done with Galaxy and our XP program. It's one we're very proud of and very happy with. Also it's pretty old at this point, at least a year, maybe a year and a half. Because it's something where we sat down and we wanted to do something fun and community involved like that. And at the time, a lot of what was going on out there was NFTs, but just unique drops, one-off singular NFTs, and people might speculate on the value of it, but that was really all we saw in terms of community engagement. But we wanted something that built towards a bigger goal, something more long-term. And we liked the whole idea of just experience points, like in a video game, something you could build up by being a very active member. We had the idea of, instead of using these, oats as oats essentially just being a NFT from Galaxy for completing a task, instead of it being just this one-off, shiny reward picture that you could just set on a shelf, the thought was we could use the aspects of these NFTs to have something like experience points or certain categories, and have it all cumulatively build up towards your level and have that reflected in the community. So it was a lot of very custom work. We built a custom bot for our Discord that plugs into Galaxy and lets users connect their Galaxy to the Discord. The system was also, custom built for our web app as well, and all ended up working rather smoothly. Funny enough, just a few months after that, Galaxy released their loyalty point system, which works in a similar way. Uh, it's either shame that I guess they didn't release it sooner, or maybe we were a little bit of inspiration for it. I can't claim that kind of credit though. But from there, it's been fun to be able to reward people for trying out new things on Dolomite, new listings, new assets, new features, for showing up to things like Twitter Spaces. It's a great way to be able to reward people who get involved in different ways and to encourage people to try out new things. Otherwise, people can get stuck in a rut of only using the assets they're familiar with and never really branching out. And there's always so many new interesting things going on in DeFi. It's always worth trying a new asset or joining a space to learn about a new protocol to really stay on the cutting edge of it. It could be easy to fall behind and not be up to date on the newest tech that's out there. But yeah, we integrate that in everywhere. You could see your level on Dolomite. You could hit certain milestones to get levels. You could try out different campaigns. Likewise, in our Discord, you could get level role in Discord, a role that matches your level, and that gives you access to certain exclusive groups. Something like our new strategies feature that went live. That one was available to our level 10s and above way earlier, and even for level 5s a few days earlier. We go to them when we want to hear some feedback. We've gotten really fantastic feedback from our higher level users. We engage with them on a very close level. And even we always look for new opportunities for things. For example, was it the Uni BTC or Pump BTC? Sorry, I'm totally blanking, but we had recently were lucky enough to get an allocation of some whitelist spots for an NFT minting, and given that we only had a handful of level 10 and above users, we reserved a spot for each one of them as just a little, bonus for the people who are the most active members of our community. And then we also had a special
Great.
giveaway just for the people who are level 5 and above. So we're always looking for ways to be able to reward them. And you mentioned minerals as well, and that's one that gives these mineral points to people who supply some of the really key assets for Dolomite, things like ETH and USDC, things that are getting borrowed very frequently for the strategies that are performed on Dolomite. And just to give a little extra bonus there, it's a good way to earn a bunch of extra XP as well. It's so far worked as a very cohesive system, and it's one that we really designed for the long term, and we plan to keep building on and trying to give new benefits to.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. By the way, one thing that I have to say, this is more like not a question but a feedback. Uh, is and this is a good positive feedback. Like I don't want your response from in this scenario. The thing is, I've never had to open a support ticket in your Discord, and that is a good thing. So yeah, I never had any issues. Like
That's
for
a
real.
compliment.
That's an honor.
Yeah, you can say it's a compliment,
That's
not
an
a
honor,
feedback.
dude.
Yeah, because I never had like anything I do on Dolomite, there is no issues except for Bera Chain, and I know Bera Chain is a test net, so I mean it has its problems, and that's on their transaction side of things, not on Dolomite.
Yeah.
I'm very
And
glad to
I
hear
also
that.
told you already, yeah, I never had to dig for the brand assets. It's a simple thing, but believe me, you don't find it there every day. Brand assets.
Yeah, I've been on the
So
other side of that as well, where I'm trying to get the brand assets for a project to, if we're integrating them, we need to get their logo. And sometimes they need to send you either, a direct link or just drop you a file. And I think it's so
yeah,
much easier if it's right there, if you could Google it. I have to say, though, I got to give credit to Chainlink. I modeled the page after theirs because I happen to particularly like their brand assets page. But, it's the little things, they add up.
Yeah.
yeah, they add up. By the way, you already mentioned about the minerals, would you like to give our audiences and who is just getting to know what Dolomite is for. What's minerals and are what they shall expect from collecting minerals?
Sure. So minerals, they're basically a point system that you can be rewarded with a non-transferable asset that you receive for supplying certain assets on Dolomite, ones that are commonly borrowed. There's plenty of interest in borrowing on Dolomite because of some of the assets we support that are very high yielding. A lot of people want to perform strategies where they borrow and loop. So we always need more suppliers of things like USDT or ETH. On Mantle also MNT, METH, USDY. So we give this extra little bonus, these minerals, as a way to recognize the suppliers of these assets. And as an extra bonus on top of that, the longer you hold these assets on Dolomite, you build up a multiplier up to 5x. And on Mantle in particular, we have a boosted 2x multiplier on top of that. So you could go up to 10x. So you could
Yeah,
be earning a
fantastic.
bunch of minerals. You could use them to compete on the leaderboard, pick up a bunch of XP. Really, right now, that is the core of it. Is if, that extra experience points, getting on the leaderboard. That's really all there is to it now. It's just a nice little fun community initiative. So that's really I think the core of it. It's something if you want to engage with, you can. It's there, and otherwise you're still of course earning some very nice yield by lending on Dolomite.
So, as far as I understand, it's a good time period to start grinding, and it's not late for the native landers.
It's never late. People could absolutely still jump in, and like we said, we got extra bonus for people on Mantle, and yeah, we would love to see people engage with it and jump on and grab some minerals.
Yeah, no. About the yeah, go on, just.
Oh yeah. So I just want to ask about the margin protocol and like reusing liquidity part. Can you like touch on those by the way?
Just the I guess general construction of the margin protocol.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
architecture basically. Yeah.
I'll toss
Sure, I
that one
can
over to
jump in
Corey.
for
He
that
is
one.
the architect.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so Dolomite was constructed using to be one of the first modular lending protocols. Um, and so the main premise behind it was to design around security and future-proofing things as much as possible. And so what we did was we designed the core layer of Dolomite, which situates itself at the bottom of the pyramid per se, as being immutable. We cannot change it once it's deployed. This allows us to house all of our core margin logic in there. So things around like which assets are listed, the LTVs, the risk parameters for them, etc. As well as how assets can move around. Like you can deposit into the protocol, you can withdraw, you can transfer your virtual balance to someone else. You can get liquidated if your position goes underwater. You can also do these things called trades where you can swap your balance with an external protocol with another user or through a smart contract. So lots of possibilities here, but the key thing is that the actions I'm describing are very generic by nature. These are meant to be broad stroke things that allow Dolomite's core protocol to essentially be timeless in its design and implementation. And so the way that we iterate on it over time, because Dolomite has been live now on Arbitrum for about 2 years, and on Mantle, I believe it's been at least a couple of months. I forget the exact timing though, but it's been pretty a decent chunk of time already. Is the way that we iterate on it on these different networks is that we actually roll out modules then that plug into the core protocol, and they're not able to change any of the core logic. And so what we've seen while we design it this way is a lot of lending protocols have been hacked over time because they will update core logic by like upgrading a contract or something like that, and it results in like ripple effects where like other contracts that situate on top of it can now be exploited. And we obviously didn't want to have that be a possibility whatsoever. So the best way to fix that is to design around it and make sure that you can't change the core logic then. So so it was a really important design consideration for us to try to solve for things this way. But one of the things that we were able to do then as well, with Dolomite, which is really cool, is like what you might notice is
Yeah.
like a lot of teams like they'll launch their platform, they go quiet for like 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever, and then you find out like they're actually working on version 2 or version 3. But with Dolomite, what we did instead was launch the protocol that we think is, future proof, as I kind of mentioned. But
Yeah.
the way that we upgrade it over time is by rolling out new modules on top of it. And so this allows us to shorten our development time quite a bit, because now we're rolling out features more quickly than other teams. Like, we're not working on like the next version per se. Like, we're just working on rolling out new features and capabilities that just plugs into the existing protocol then. And this makes it really good because we don't need to worry about things like migrating liquidity or running separate versions at the exact same time on different networks. So,
Yeah.
is there a point in time in the future where like maybe we'll want to like roll out a new version completely? Yeah, maybe. But the fact that we would run the same protocol now on our oldest network for over 2 years without needing to change things is also really exciting to me.
We also see it as a benefit for people trying to integrate on top of Dolomite. If anyone trying to build on Dolomite would prefer the stability of not nonstop upgrades, it's something that's made it so easy to build on. For example, like Uniswap V2 was such a core part of the ecosystem just because of that consistency, that dependability, and given the complexity of Dolomite and of possible integration on Dolomite, we want to be able to give people some kind of assurance that their integration isn't going to be out of date in a couple months. We really built Dolomite to be this base layer for an ecosystem, and people can leverage all the strengths and features of Dolomite by building on top of it.
Yeah, it's really nice, and we already see that your tech makes the difference. So when we think about this story and how you came here, we see that Dolomite evolves itself day by day. So it's like an organic living, and by the time it brings some new necessity of some new features, and also it's a loop, infinite loop. It's new features triggers new necessities, then again and again. So I guess you just announced an very important milestone, and this can be where we disclose the alpha. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, happily. Like you say, it's we really like shipping new features, new integrations. There's always something that we're working on, and so much more that we'd love to build. I think that's also just in general something that excites me with what we're building with Dolomite. Is there's so much that we have built and deployed, but there's so much more to go. So many other things that we're excited to build and just haven't gotten to yet. A future version of Dolomite will be even cooler than what we have today. But yeah, the recent announcement, very, very recent, just at this point, I guess 2 days ago, was our launch of our strategies. Dolomite strategies, the idea was that Dolomite borrowing and doing strategies on Dolomite before this, just using the basic borrowing features, it gives you a lot of control. It's very manual, it puts a lot of power into your hands, but that can also make it less accessible for a broader audience. Knowing which assets to use and how you should use your collateral and borrow and loop and using all these features, that could be out of reach for some people. So what we did was looked at a lot of the great strategies that people were already running on Dolomite, and we automated it. We bundled it up and prepackaged it for you, gave you as much information so you can make an educated decision about it and see information about the past performance and the risks and everything that's involved with it. And in the end, just have it as simple as deposit and earn yield. It'll execute the strategy for you. And so that was really our goal with it. And so far, we've seen some very, very positive reception overall. And we're really excited to keep building out new strategies. We already have a bunch of them that we're looking at doing. And as we continue to improve the tech on it, we'll be able to expand that even further.
Oh yeah, by the way,
It,
if you sorry to
so if
interrupt.
we want to share the screen here, I don't know if this is where you would prefer that.
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, can you like just demonstrate the? See, I could do it, but it would be better if you do it so that I'm not lost and waste time.
Yes, let me delete this one. Go. Okay, you able to see my screen?
Oh yes.
You see the balances page here?
Yes.
Great. So yeah, just broadly, this is often where people land on Dolomite when they first arrive. This is just a nice place to manage your balances. Dolomite is a bit different than something like Aave or Uniswap, where you go directly from your wallet. To use Dolomite, you first deposit to Dolomite, and it gives you a virtual balance, what Corey had been talking about before. And this is what really enables all of the more advanced features of Dolomite and extra efficiencies. So the first step is always just to come here and add something from your wallet. You can easily deposit, withdraw each of these assets. And additionally, wherever you see a blue APR, you could hover your mouse over it and see a breakdown of extra rewards you're getting or some external source of yield, whatever it may be. It just means there's something a little extra there. The green ones, it just means that you're lending on Dolomite and earning interest from that. So I'll take a quick jump over here to the borrow page. This was what we've had for at this point a couple of years, which is something that people have made a lot of use of. It's just the standard borrowing on Dolomite, which works by you pick an asset that you want to supply as collateral, and then you could borrow against it. Here I have PTUSDE as collateral. Here I have USDT and ETH as collateral, borrowing METH. With each of these, you could isolate your risk to just the assets that you're involving in this little borrow position. It means that if it gets liquidated, it's not taking from your Dolomite balance, it's not taking from the other positions, it's only involving the assets that are in this singular borrow position. And you could have as many of these as you'd like, and it could have up to 32 assets in it, supplying and borrowing. And here we've also got integrations with Zap, is this more powerful feature that we built out that integrates with DEX aggregators and also directly with protocols to swap and mint as needed to change between two assets. So you could swap between two collateral assets without repaying your debt. You could swap between debt assets. You could borrow and have it traded and added as collateral. So you could loop up in one click. You could repay your debt using your collateral. A lot of just little features like that to speed things up, make things easier, save you a few steps of having to go off of Dolomite and find the protocol page to mint to redeem and then bring it back on to Dolomite. It greatly simplifies any kind of looping. Up here, we've got our brand new strategies page. And here, this is our real hub for all our strategies. The real goal was just to take advanced DeFi and simplify it. And
Yeah.
here you can see on the left, I got all my balances. On the right, I've got filters. So if I'm looking to maximize yield or maybe something that's very bullish on ETH, something with a certain amount of leverage, you could choose different tags to narrow it down based on what you're looking for. Same thing for rewards as well. A lot of little features like that to let you see it with and without external rewards, APY versus APR, whatever you're looking for in terms of the aspects of these strategies. Likewise, on each one, you could check out the risk. Each one of these is a very custom written description of the risk for these assets, or for these strategies, rather. So here up in our featured strategy, we have looped PTM ETH. Currently earning 9.68%. As a nice little bonus, you could also see what it's averaged over a 30-day period. And the idea is
Great.
for this strategy is it's applying PTM ETH and it's borrowing ETH and looping that back in with 5x leverage to really maximize the yield. So, if I click on this to get a little more info, I get this nice little chart that shows how the yield has changed over time. For PT strategies, the blue line is as if you locked in today's yield, how would it have performed over the last 30 days with this current yield, since PT assets have stable yield. You can see a breakdown here of what you earn and what you owe, information on why the strategy works, the risks involved. But end of the day, to just utilize the strategy, you put in however much from your Dolomite balance you'd like to deposit. If you don't have enough, it'll help you deposit or swap into it. Um, going to tell you what kind of yield you're going to get, what it's going to be doing with your debt and collateral, what's going to happen with the trade, and it's just as simple as click create position and sign the transaction, and it'll pop up in a second up here up top. And you can see one I've already had open as well, earning a different yield because I locked in a different rate as PT assets go. That's just how it happens. So for example, this one, I guess I locked in not as good a rate, so I'm averaging a little bit of a lower amount. But of course, keep in mind, this is on an ETH pegged asset, which is great to see. And in terms of yield, Likewise, for some of these where you have external rewards, it breaks it down for you how much you're getting from some other kind of rewards versus lending versus points. It's just really the goal is just to bring it all together into one place for people to have a single hub where they could find the newest and best strategies that are out there to get the best yield, or in some cases get exposure to price exposure. For example, this one here has 4x ETH exposure. So even though
Yeah.
it loses a bit in terms of yield, if you're really bullish on ETH, then that's the sort of strategy for you. And we're going to keep growing this list. There's a lot of exciting ones out there. I guess to drop a little bit of alpha, one that we're looking at doing soon in the Mantle ecosystem is a PTUSDE loop, because right now PTUSDE's got some great yield, and it's not too expensive to borrow stables on Dolomite. So I think that right now that loop yields something around maybe 12, 13%. So some solid returns on that, and yeah, we'll see when we get that one out there. But there's so many more that we're looking to build, and I think that's really what's so exciting about this hub is really just the ability to simplify all the complexities of DeFi and make all this
Yeah.
information just so available and digestible.
It's really amazing.
Yeah, that's what I also want to say, because like at least on money markets that I've used, I've never seen something this advanced. It's like really, I couldn't see it on my positions because like I have very less positions open, but on your page this is like more detailed, and that's why I asked you to share. Basically, yeah, this is amazing. This looks amazing. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
And
thanks.
do
And then
you
there's a nice little
remember,
bonus.
Juice?
You can
We
also
already
Oh
received
yeah,
some comments that how excellent is that, and how it's easy, and at the same time, like you said, it's advanced. You can have a lot of data that is necessary for you to take the most out of it. So it's really excellent.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Adam, you were saying
appreciate that.
something, right?
That's really been the goal. I was all really just saying, that's that here I think maybe just demoing this was just that you get a little share feature if you'd like to generate a card to show up on socials. That's one that a few people have really liked. It's
Oh
not for
yeah,
everyone. Some people are keeping their strategies a little more anon, but same thing on the borrow page. You could take any of your borrow positions and share the kind of yield you're earning, the assets you have in there. But yeah, I mean, what you say has really been the goal. It's we have all these cool and powerful features we built out for Dolomite, and for some people, they really want to just get in there and manually use them, and that's been fantastic for some users. But simplifying it is also a goal. Being able to bring it to a broader audience means using cool tech, leveraging the power of it, but making it accessible, making it really usable. And even from here, even this is going to be a little complex for some people. I'd love to see the layers that get built on top. Something to make it simple just to earn yield by supplying stable coins. Some people, that's all they need. And that's really the biggest strength of DeFi is the DeFi Lego blocks, just people building on each other and leveraging cool tech to build simplified and easy to use projects and products.
oh yeah. It's actually really like interesting to see this. So initially, when I started out, I didn't know how money markets worked. Basically, it was like since I was from a Web 2 background, I was like, okay, yeah, like if you want to borrow something, you need to have a credit score. Like collateralized borrowing, like it's like something very new to me, right? So I was like, okay, so like somebody was teaching me, and he's like, borrow in tandem to the asset that you have. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, what do I do? But then now, like this exists. Like when I explain to my friends, this makes it so much easier. Like I can just demonstrate it to them easily, like instead of saying borrow in tandem.
I agree. I think that's really the more we can simplify this and make it easy and accessible, the better. It's something that puts
Yeah,
power into the hands of people.
yeah, true. Oh yeah,
It's
by the
really
way,
nice.
another question that is not related to Dolomite, but yeah, I've been following you since like the AMA, and I know Corey has been doing some like stuff for like Trump. Can you share more about it? I would love to know what you're doing.
I was wondering if this would come up or not. Um, yeah, so I'm serving as a technical advisor for World Liberty Financial, mainly helping out with things on the technical side of the project, like building stuff in crypto and in particular DeFi is definitely not easy. There's a lot of intricacies and best practices have started to come up. but it's not nearly as established as it is with like building Web 2 style applications. At this point, like people build tremendous stuff like Facebook, Venmo, Cash App, which extends obviously not just to being a website or web application, but also even mobile applications. But when you mix crypto in with that, because it changes so much of the technical stack, it really becomes challenging to know like how to best build something out, what's the right path to take when doing so, and things like that. So I'm really happy to help serve the project and kind of like point things in the right direction, or at least share an opinion where I can to inject the years of experience that I've had with building things. And I'm thankful for the opportunity and working with them. They've been really receptive and open to feedback. Overall, the team uh, just loves learning and loves engaging to better understand like how DeFi is evolving, what kind of got us to this point, how all these things work and come together. So it's been a delightful process and really humbled to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's really amazing to see, like crypto getting more like, what's it called, mainstream attention, and like how it's not like, shunned upon. But usually, like in the early days, like it was like, oh, this is scam, like straight up. But nowadays, like people are like, okay, yeah, we understand, what blockchain is, the technology behind it. It's not just about API or APIs, but yeah, recognizing the technology part about it too. Yeah, it's really amazing to see that.
Definitely.
We are still
Yeah,
like
and
the
and it's
bad kids.
cool, like and it's cool to seeing like the people on the project, like the Trumps and everyone else, like kind of go through their own eureka moment where they got to really appreciate what it was that this technology is capable of. Everyone
Mhm.
has their own reason for being here, and
Yeah.
all of our backgrounds here are different, but we all kind of found this thing of DeFi and of crypto, and it spoke to us in a way that made us like want to jump on here and like you guys are forming a podcast, making a community around DeFi. Like obviously we're building products and services and even like a former president, maybe even future president, um, is building something in here. So like everyone finds their way here through their own means, but the story is very captivating, clearly, and it's just cool to see like this common thread unite all of us together.
Yeah, true, true.
Yeah, maybe an alpha is coming for the elections. Big alpha. I never expected that. Thank you very much. I mean, we are gonna be huge.
Yeah, Trump is calling up. Yo, we need to get a podcast.
Yeah. And the next week we are gonna have the Biden.
I don't know.
Awesome.
By the
Let
way,
him
we
know I was
were
on here.
you were just talking about the developers, and your background is already from the developers. So I guess you might have kind of special treat for the developers. What do you offer in Dolomite, and how can they get ease of building on top of Dolomite?
Yes, I mean Adam kind of alluded to this earlier, but we architected Dolomite to make it as uh, friendly as possible for developers to start utilizing our platform. There's still parts where we need to like definitely like spice up our documentation or some things here or there that could be made better. I think it's like the inner perfectionist in us that always just sees opportunities to improve. But the most important thing is our design decisions of how we created the platform. Making that core layer that I was really diving into earlier, by making that core layer immutable, it opens up a lot of uh, possibilities for developers that want to build on top of us. Like they have access to consistency they usually don't have access to, especially when it comes to lending, because lending protocols tend to change. A decentralized exchange in comparison, its function is to allow people to swap on chain. It's pretty simple. And it's pretty simple as well to build an immutable decentralized exchange because all you have to do is program in some formula that's responsible for how the pools operate. But lending protocols in comparison are like live, or said differently, like living, breathing things. As liquidity changes, as asset change, as a token goes from a small cap to a big cap or a big cap to a small cap, the ecosystem and the assets change over time. What if a token gets migrated from version 1 to version 2? They want to change it. So lending protocols have to be able to retain flexibility that ordinarily other DeFi protocols don't necessarily need. And to be able to design a system that's immutable that allows the developers to just understand how the core primitives work and be able to build something on top of it without worrying about their hard work being rugged or anything like that is so important. And I think it's really cool that we were able to accomplish that with Dolomite.
Yeah, so I think that's like pretty much like about like that's what we wanted to know, and like put it out there. Like, is there anything else that you would like to add? Am I muted?
Anything else? I think we got to cover a lot of the really exciting topics with Dolomite, a lot of the core tech and the history. The only things left to look forward to is really just new integrations, new features are always going to be coming out. Things we'd love to do to expand on the borrow page and the borrow features, things like stop loss and take profit for borrow positions, and a big one also that's been in development is our trade page as well, to leverage Dolomite borrowing and lending to make for easy margin trading, especially paired margin trading. Just being able to margin trade one asset against another using any of the ones listed on Dolomite, take advantage of some unique pairings and opportunities there. So yeah, there's still plenty to be built and so much left to go, and that's really what I think is most exciting. We'd love for people to drop into Discord, tell us what integrations you'd like to see, what assets you want to use, what strategies you want to see, and start building up some XP. We'd love to have you.
Anything you would like to add, Corey and Slim as well?
Yeah, I mean, I also just want to thank your guys' time for having us on here. It's always a pleasure to talk to people in the community. It's these little conversations that have gotten us to the point where we are today, where it's like a couple of people talking that are enthusiastic about the tech, about what's being built, or they come from an ecosystem with you guys with Mantle, and we've been able to accumulate like a large following of like dedicated users that appreciate what we've built, from being able to like take the time to explain it, and you guys have given us an excellent opportunity to like really dive into why we think Dolomite's special, what our motivation was in building it, and so I can't thank you enough for that.
Yeah, even like I have to thank you guys. Like, even though you have busy schedules, you just you showed up and like gave us the time. And even yesterday I had some network issues, and so yeah, sorry for that as well.
Yeah, by the way, one last question about Mental. Of course, it's Mantleverse Unleashed. So, how do you have in your click with Mantle? What did you find? What you expected, and um, do you really get excited like us together with being around Mantle? And it's very important for us to hear your opinions about.
Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah, I mean,
simply put, we would not be deployed on Mantle if we weren't excited about it. We're pretty selective with the networks that we choose to deploy Dolomite onto. We think it's really important. Make sure that there's really good yield opportunities, a good place for us to flourish and exemplify some of the cool tech we have created and offer something unique there. And the Mantle team in particular, the ecosystem, the community, have all been really, really helpful and extremely enthusiastic about what it was that we've created here. And a testament to that is just seeing the organic growth we have on the platform. We don't have any like grants or anything like that we've done to ignite our growth. It's really just come from the community, people wanting to lend assets out, and people that want to go utilize those assets to run strategies. So we're grateful for the for the success we've achieved there so far, and hopefully it'll grow and become much larger.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's very important. Thank you. And for your time and for everything, for being on time and for letting us to host you. I think it has been a wonderful episode. Juice, do you have anything to add?
Nothing else. Yeah, I wish the best for like Dolomite, and I hope you guys blow up. And I mean, you already are big. I mean, become bigger, and like yeah, that's it pretty much from my end.
So much bigger to grow. Hopefully one
Yeah.
day we'll flip off.